The world watches with bated breath. Every headline, every news bulletin, every tweet and post is dissected for clues about the future of our global order. Two giants circle each other, their shadows stretching across the globe. The United States and China, two nations with immense power and influence, are engaged in a complex and multifaceted relationship. The United States and China, the world's preeminent superpowers, are locked in a delicate dance of cooperation and competition. Their interactions are a blend of mutual interests and deep-seated rivalries, creating a dynamic that is both collaborative and contentious. This rivalry, with its political, economic, and military dimensions, will shape the 21st century and beyond. The stakes are monumental, influencing not just the two nations involved, but the entire world. From trade wars to technological races, from military posturing to diplomatic negotiations, every move is watched, analyzed, and responded to. Understanding the roots of this rivalry and its potential trajectories is crucial for navigating the complexities of our times. The history of US-China relations is a tapestry of cooperation and conflict, marked by moments of profound partnership and deep mistrust. The stakes are high. Global stability, economic prosperity, and technological progress hang in the balance. The decisions made by these two superpowers will reverberate across the globe, affecting markets, governments, and individuals alike. Will these two titans collide, plunging the world into a new era of geopolitical turmoil? The potential for conflict is ever present, with flashpoints in the South China Sea, Taiwan, and beyond. The world holds its breath, hoping for diplomacy but preparing for the worst. Or can they find a way to coexist, leveraging their strengths for the betterment of humanity? There is hope in collaboration, in the potential for these two nations to work together on global challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and technological innovation. The answers to these questions are far from clear-cut. Analysts and experts debate the future of US-China relations, offering a range of perspectives and predictions. Some see a path to peaceful coexistence, while others warn of inevitable conflict. The US-China relationship is a tapestry woven from intricate historical threads, ideological differences, and a relentless pursuit of power and influence. It is a story of two nations with distinct worldviews and ambitions, each seeking to shape the global order in its image. To untangle this complex web, we must first journey back in time to understand the genesis of this global power struggle. By examining the historical context, we can gain insights into the motivations and strategies that drive these two superpowers and perhaps find a path to a more stable and prosperous future. The seeds of today's rivalry were sown in the ashes of World War II. The world had witnessed unprecedented destruction and loss, and as the dust settled, new power dynamics began to take shape. The war had not only redrawn borders but also redefined global influence. The United States emerged from the conflict as a global hegemon, its economy booming, its military unmatched. The American dream was alive and well, with prosperity reaching new heights. The post-war era saw the US investing heavily in infrastructure, technology, and education, laying the foundation for decades of growth and innovation. Across the Pacific, China was embroiled in a civil war, its ancient civilization grappling with modernity, seeking a path to national rejuvenation. The struggle between the nationalists and the communists tore the country apart, leaving scars that would take years to heal. Amidst the chaos, the Chinese people yearned for stability and a vision for the future. The following decades saw the US solidify its position as the leader of the free world, championing democracy and free markets. American culture, politics, and economic models were exported globally, influencing nations far and wide. The Marshall Plan, NATO, and other initiatives underscored America's commitment to rebuilding and leading the post-war world order. China, under Mao Zedong's communist rule, embarked on a tumultuous journey of social and economic transformation, often marked by upheaval and hardship. The Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution were ambitious, yet devastating campaigns that aimed to reshape Chinese society, but resulted in widespread suffering and economic stagnation. With the end of the Cold War, the US emerged as the sole superpower, its influence seemingly limitless. The collapse of the Soviet Union left a power vacuum that the United States was quick to fill, promoting its values and interests on a global scale. The 1990s were a decade of American triumphalism, with the US economy and military at their peak. China, meanwhile, embarked on a path of economic liberalization under Deng Xiaoping. The reforms of the 1980s opened China to foreign investment, technology, and ideas, setting the stage for rapid industrialization and urbanization. Deng's pragmatic approach marked a significant departure from Maoist ideology, focusing on economic growth and modernization. This period of reform and opening up unleashed China's economic potential, propelling it to become the world's second-largest economy. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous, with hundreds of millions lifted out of poverty and new megacities rising from the ground. China's manufacturing prowess and export-driven growth turned it into the world's factory. The rise of China, coupled with America's ongoing global commitments, has shifted the balance of power. Trade relations between the two giants have become a focal point of international politics, with both cooperation and competition shaping their interactions. The economic interdependence has created a complex web of mutual interests and strategic rivalries. The world is no longer unipolar, dominated by a single superpower. The emergence of other influential nations and regional powers has created a more complex and interconnected global landscape. International institutions and alliances are evolving to reflect these new realities, with diplomacy and multilateralism becoming more crucial than ever. Instead, we are witnessing the emergence of a multipolar world, with the US and China at the forefront of this geopolitical realignment. Their interactions will shape the 21st century, influencing global trade, security, and governance. These two titans navigate their relationship. The world watches closely, aware that their rivalry and cooperation will define the future of international relations. At the heart of the US-China rivalry lies a fundamental ideological divide. This divide is not just a matter of policy differences, but is deeply rooted in the historical, cultural, and political evolution of both nations. The United States, with its roots in liberal democracy, emphasizes individual liberty, human rights, and the rule of law. These principles are enshrined in the American Constitution and have been the guiding force behind the country's domestic and foreign policies for over 2 centuries. China, under the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, prioritizes state power, social stability, and economic development. The Chinese model of governance, which has lifted millions out of poverty, is often cited as a successful alternative to Western democratic systems. This clash of values permeates every aspect of the US-China relationship, shaping their interactions on the world stage. From trade negotiations to military posturing, the ideological divide influences decisions and strategies on both sides. The US frequently criticizes China's human rights record, particularly its treatment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang and its crackdown on dissent in Hong Kong. These issues are often highlighted in international forums, adding to the tension between the two nations. China, in turn, accuses the US of hypocrisy, pointing to its history of racial injustice and interventionist foreign policy. Beijing argues that the US should address its own domestic issues before criticizing others. Taiwan remains a particularly contentious issue. The island's strategic location and its democratic governance make it a focal point in the US-China rivalry. The self-ruled island, which China claims as its own, is a flashpoint in US-China relations. Taiwan's leadership, backed by significant public support, continues to resist Beijing's calls for reunification. Washington's support for Taiwan's autonomy is seen by Beijing as a direct challenge to its sovereignty. The US conducts regular military exercises in the region, signaling its commitment to Taiwan's defense. These ideological differences are not easily reconciled. They are deeply ingrained in the national identities of both countries and are reflected in their policies and actions. They represent deeply held beliefs and national interests that shape each country's worldview and approach to global affairs. As the world watches, the US and China continue to navigate this complex relationship with the potential for both cooperation and conflict. Despite their differences, both nations recognize the importance of dialogue and engagement. Diplomatic efforts and trade agreements are ongoing, as both sides seek to manage their rivalry while avoiding open conflict. The competition also extends to technological advancements and global innovation. Both countries are investing heavily in research and development, aiming to lead in areas such as artificial intelligence, 5G technology, and space exploration. Additionally, global challenges like climate change require cooperation. Both the US and China have a significant role to play in addressing environmental issues, and their collaboration is crucial for global sustainability. Cultural exchanges and educational programs continue to build bridges between the two societies. These initiatives foster mutual understanding and can help mitigate some of the tensions arising from their ideological differences. Ultimately, the future of US-China relations will be shaped by the next generation. As young people from both countries engage with each other and the world, they have the potential to redefine this complex and multifaceted relationship. The US-China rivalry is not just about ideology, it's also about economic might. Both countries are economic powerhouses, vying for dominance in key sectors like technology, manufacturing, and trade. This economic competition has led to tensions, particularly in recent years. The Trump administration launched a trade war against China, imposing tariffs on billions of dollars worth of goods. While the Biden administration has taken a more measured approach, it has maintained many of these tariffs. The US is concerned about China's trade practices, including intellectual property theft, forced technology transfer, and state subsidies for Chinese companies. China, meanwhile, accuses the US of protectionism and trying to stifle its economic rise. The competition is particularly fierce in the technology sector. The US has long been a leader in innovation, but China is catching up rapidly, investing heavily in areas like artificial intelligence, 5G, and quantum computing. This economic and technological rivalry has global implications, impacting supply chains, global trade, and the development of cutting-edge technologies.